Hey everybody, Josh here. This is my second take. Look behind the curtain. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, and you would have just thought I'm perfect. But I'm not. I'm not a perfect person. I mess up every once in a while. Oh yeah. By the way, Patreon page. Go to that. Help support the show if you would like. For as little as $1 an episode, you can help support craft beer audio here in the greater Houston area. And when you come to places like Fetching Lab, you can listen to them as you drive here, and that helps with that. So thank you in advance, and just thanks for listening. I really appreciate all that. So that's the biggest thing. Tell a friend. If you can't give money, maybe you're poor like I am, and you're the one that's typically begging. Just tell a friend or whatever. All right, let's start the show.
The following is a presentation of Stewed Productions.
Hello, I'm Brett.
And I'm Theresa.
And we're Fetching Lab, and we're on InterBrews.
This is InterBrews.
Okay, just like that. Now the show's begun.
Woohoo!
How are y'all?
Doing great.
Doing really well.
Good. It has been half a year short of forever.
Yes, it has been. It's been a little bit.
It was like December of 15, or December of 15, I believe.
December of 15.
Yeah.
It was right before Christmas.
Yes, it was early.
Yeah.
Early in the days of podcasting and brewerymanship. Mm-hmm. Is that what you call it?
That's a new
we
word.
can call it that. We can call
you
it
can
that.
call it that. You made
Coin
it up,
it here.
and that's okay. We'll submit it to the dictionary.
Put a copyright on it real quick.
The not urban, the Brewers Dictionary. I don't know. Brewer, whatever. Sorry.
We'll just make our own.
There you go.
There we go.
Right. We'll get it and do it and call it a thing and whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. Enough of the tomfoolery. Let's get into what's been going on. It's it has been a long time, and we need to catch up. We are in. Last time we recorded an episode, we were at y'all's place. We were not in this beautiful tap room here in Texas City.
Yeah.
We have an amazing story behind this building. We have amazing beers in front of us to tell an amazing story. Where do we want to start? What do we want to talk about first?
Well, we'll go ahead and talk about the buildings to us. This is one of the more cool things that have happened to us in the last few years.
Let's do that.
All right, cool. So last time you were with us, remember you were at the brewery, which is right next to our house.
Yes.
And, trust me, I loved being able to get up in the morning, do a little yawn stretch, put some clothes on, and walk right up there and be
Or
at
not.
work. Or not.
Not put the clothes on. Just
Have you been watching me?
well.
But because it was, as you well know, it's there at the end of a dirt road. We had a dirt parking lot. We just couldn't get open. We're too weather dependent and stuff. So we started looking around. Did about a 2-year search, and finally wound up in Texas City here on historic 6th Street with this just gorgeous building.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an amazing 100-year-old building, and we opened it about a year ago. So we were just in a year for the tap room, and we're about to hit our 5-year here in next week for the brewery.
Saturday next week, 15th is our February 15th. Will be our 5-year anniversary here at the tap room in Texas City.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but this building, it's got such character. We love being here. Everyone walks in and they look around, and you can just see the history.
Yes. Well, the floors they're solid. You just put
are.
your feet on that, and you're like, this is not going anywhere.
Right.
There could be, I don't know, a huge explosion nearby, and it would be perfectly intact. Right?
Right.
Funny you should say that.
Funny you should say that.
So so the building was built sometime around 1920, and this was the whole town here originally was part of a military base. So everything was built just as my dad always said, hell for stout. I mean, just very strong. But there's only so much that can take you. So in 1947, there were 2 massive explosions just a half a mile away from here. Some ammonium nitrate on a barge exploded. Very sad time in Texas history, but a lot of things as far as industrial safety came out of it. This building was one of the very closest buildings that actually survived to it. And they were able to go ahead and salvage the building. There were 2 other buildings that were attached to this that were completely lost. They're gone now. but they were able to salvage this building, and we're very happy with it at that point.
Yeah, this building actually played a very pivotal role. It was a pharmacy, and so it had all the medical supplies, and they did triage here, and so it was really fortunate that this building was where it was and so close to the disaster, and it had the medical capability that it did.
Yeah, it's remarkable when you think about, I don't know, like the times like that in history. They leave not just, I mean, obviously it leaves a an impact, literally and figuratively, like on the place. But I just feel like, I don't know, when you understand like something like that went on in a place, it kind of gives you I don't know if it's like the ghosts of that, but it's like it almost like gets embedded in the walls themselves.
So I could be wrong in this, but I believe that's where. So Texas City is known as the Phoenix City, and I believe it's because of the 1947 disaster, because they rose from the ashes. So so the city has a lot of some deep history and deep pride, and everyone knows the story, and so there's the memories still hold strong to this day. We have people come in and they'll sit down and they'll tell us things about the what happened here that we didn't know before. Everybody knows it. If you live here, you've heard the story and you've been telling the story, so it stays alive.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things. When we first moved down here, neither one of us are from Texas City. We'd never really been in Texas City. Like I said, we'd been looking for 2 years before we found this building. And literally, when we walked in this building, we had originally rejected it because we'd gone on Google Earth and looked at the street view on this thing, and it was this ugly lime green building. You could tell there was no roof on it. And as you kind of went down the street, there was somebody sleeping in the doorway there. It was really bad. We had said no originally, and then our real estate agent said, "You really got to come look at this building." And it was literally, you walked in this thing and it was like, that's the one right there.
That's the one.
We stopped everything, so stop all other searches. That's the building. So you got to imagine that the building, it's bare. There was nothing in here whatsoever. No wall, or there were walls. No covering on the walls. So the walls were all soot stained. They had just finished redoing the roof. The I beams are all exposed and stuff. But we just looked at this and said, then they had the history and the character we were looking for.
Yeah.
Buildings, it's just cool. Like you can look around, and you see it. I mean, you can kind of, I don't know, you feel it. There's more to it than, I mean, metal. Quick built metal buildings are nice, for function and that sort of thing, but they don't carry the character. Of a place like this.
Drywall doesn't tell the story, but that old brick and plaster and whatnot, it tells a story. The bent I-beams from the original I-beams have bent and soot stained. They tell a story, right?
Yeah.
They tell you this building's been through some things.
Yeah, the I-beams show the story that in 1971 a fire ripped through this place and burned up everything. So the I-beams, you look at them, they're sagging a little bit from the heat and stuff. It just it's kind of funny because before everything was in here, Theresa and I were in here. We were cleaning. We're starting to get ready to start doing some of the major work. And if you look at these bricks on the backside over here, I can actually show you evidence that while I believe these bricks were original to this building, I don't think they were originally from this building. We actually believe they were actually reclaimed. So the history of this building just keeps going back more and more the more we look at it.
See, I disagree with them, but that's something we'll never know. Right? So we'll sit and we'll sometimes just stare at the building and we're looking at those clues and we're like, well, what happened? Why is this the way it is? Why would there's like a dark kind of soot stain mark on a wall that is furthest from where the fire happened here, and so that spot burned really hot for some reason. Why? What was there, right? And all the different markings, there's some like canister type things in the wall, and so we're like, oh, I bet you that was the makeup counter. And so when some ladies came in who worked here back in the day, in fact, one of them, she's actually the one who turned on the stove that started the fire. Not her fault, but it lit the grease trap. We asked them, we're like, was that the makeup counter? Was that where lights came out? And they're like, yeah, that's where lights came out. And over here, this is how it was set up. And, in the floor, you can see where the bar stools were for the soda shop that was in here. Yeah. And, there are the original floors. And, it's got so much character.
Yeah, we got a general rule right now is that we don't put a single hole in the wall that we don't absolutely have to. We want to try to preserve the building as much as possible. It's got a lot of historic to it. The people in the community back here has actually surprised us. The community back here, everyone knows each other. It's just a great little community, and all of them still call this AG's Pharmacy, which is what it was originally was. And we're like, okay, we're fine with that as long as you're coming here buying Fetching Lab beer. You know, we're
come by to AG's Pharmacy.
That is, I remember back in my hometown, there was a pharmacy that was, probably around the same age, opened in the I don't know how old the building itself was, but it was one of the early buildings of the town, and they still had the you get the burgers and the shakes, and they would bring you out the the glass in the shake glass, but then also the silver thing, and it was like the best thing on a Saturday.
Oh yeah.
You'd sit at the counter, had the old counter seats and everything. Yeah,
and that's what everyone used to do.
Yeah. The best burger. I don't know if it was the best, but at the time,
it
was like, I don't know. Burgers have gone galactic as far as
they really have. Now you can get a burger any way you want.
Yeah, but there was something about when you sat down there on a Saturday. Like your dad made you work in the yard, and then you got to go get a burger and a shake.
Yeah. Hand spun soda,
Yeah. All that. It's just
root beer.
And now you can come in as an adult and get a beer.
A beer.
Yeah, real beer. Speaking of beer, I have this beautiful flight in front of me. Where should I start?
All right, start on here down by the handle here. Okay. This is the County Road Kolsch. And it's just basically a classic German style beer, just two-row and Maris Otter. I'm getting my Scholl point. Maris Otter and Saaz hops, just simple original German style beer.
Okay, so I posted this on Twitter last night with the poll is still going on. So if you're listening to this episode, you can go on the Twitter, weigh in. What style of the ones Kolsch, Pilsner, IPA, or Blonde Ale goes best with crawfish? We're now into crawfish season, and we're down here. We're not too far from, the water. Just I don't know, in Mardi Gras and all of that. It's
for this area right now. The Kolsch is one of our most popular beers, and we've actually had people bring in some Cajun food and stuff in here, and it's the Kolsch seems to go pretty well with it.
Kolsch. I love Kolsch. Yeah. It's just that style. Just it's.
I think all of them though. I mean, that's a really you're really splitting hairs because they're all light and you got spicy food. So, you're really splitting hairs on which is the best, right?
Yeah. That second one, there's actually another one that goes very well with crawfish, and that is the Fetcher and the Rye. And so it's a rye beer, which we use whole juniper berries in for spicing it up, and that one actually goes very well also with it.
Okay, all right. Now, if y'all know anybody that delivers crawfish, and we could get to the bottom of this right now. Y'all could just
Boyd's might.
I believe February 28th, we actually have a crawfish boil going on here.
It's March. It's March.
Is it March 20th? March 20th, I believe it is. So we actually have two of them coming down the pipe soon.
Yeah. I had crawfish yesterday, so that's what made me think about it. I went to, had a Blonde Ale, and I was like, I wonder, what is the perfect? I mean, I guess it kind of depends on your level of spice on the crawfish and your tolerance for spice as well. Some people want more. Some people want to get it mellowed out, which is, everybody has their opinion. But
the older I get, the less spicy it goes,
The
darn aging.
Is that a thing? Does it?
Yeah. I mean, heartburn. Right? That's where it's not really even the spice. It's I'm going to pay for it later, right?
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I never had heartburn growing up.
I've got a little bit of a history with spice as far as capsaicin goes.
He's been maced like 6 times.
I used to work on the ambulance, and in there for a long time. Whenever they used mace, I was literally right in the middle of it. I'd been maced so many times.
They tried to mace a dog that's about to attack him. He's working on a patient. Everyone gets sprayed down. Right?
On a scale of, okay, so I've done the whole, chop up the habaneros for like whatever. And, get it ready for, I like to put them in my eggs for breakfast, like just a little bit, right?
Yeah, just a small bit.
Yeah, but every once in a while you forget that you did that, and then you rub your eye or...
been there, done that.
Yeah, even after you wash your hands, it's still pretty hot. You're like, why is my face burning? It's like, oh yeah, I just rubbed my face, and I cut up habaneros 4 days ago. It's like, what is going on? And yes, I've washed my hands numerous times.
I don't know. I don't know if after 4 days.
Maybe not 4 days, but
unfortunately, one of the beers that we just finished like last week was a mango habanero beer, and you wouldn't believe how fast that one went. People just love that beer.
Yeah, those flavors. Habanero, man. It's It's a delicious flavor. Like, it's too
Yeah.
bad that it literally lights your face on fire.
Nope.
Right.
This is actually called slow burn.
Yeah.
Because you take a sip and you'd go, hey, I thought you said it had. Oh.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's what I'm saying. If you can get the flavor of habanero,
Yeah.
but without all
Burning
the,
your face
all
off.
the crazy heat,
Yeah.
because they pack a punch, especially like if you just eat it straight. But the flavor,
Yeah.
and it goes really great with fruit. Like, it's like already got kind of a fruity
It is,
vibe
yeah.
to it.
Especially if you kind of roast them a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Break down the sugars in them
Yeah.
instead of the raw.
Mhm.
You know, once you start kind of cooking them,
Yeah, go on.
it kind of releases some of that sugar, and then you get a really good flavor. Now, I'm a big fan of putting gloves on when you're dealing with them.
That's smart.
Yeah, so that 4 days later,
Yeah.
I'm not rubbing my eyes and ending up crying.
That might be a note to self. Write that one down. Let's put that in the show notes.
Pro tip.
Yeah, pro tip. Yeah, it's yes,
Vinyl gloves at Harbor Freight just cost like $5 a minute. It's like, do it.
I should do that. And then there's Amazon. You can just order some too.
There you go.
Yeah.
They show up at your house.
Yeah.
Probably by drone.
Yeah, well, it's getting there. I saw that just the other day. FedEx now in Virginia, they're delivering, like, dropping things in people's doors with a drone, just bloop, and then out.
What if
there.
it's raining or windy?
They have another drone with an umbrella that flies over it.
Oh, okay.
Double drone.
Perfect. Double drone. I want a picture of
They've
that.
thought of everything.
If you're in Virginia and you have, and it's raining and you have a delivery and you get a picture of this double drone, please send it in.
Didn't some town in Virginia or something have a drone hunting license or something
No,
like that?
I think that was Colorado.
Colorado?
I think it was
Okay.
Colorado. Yeah,
Where
when
you just blow them out of the sky.
yeah,
yeah, exactly. If it's flying over your place and you've got the right license, you can like shoot at it. You know,
Yeah.
or like,
yeah, it was several years
what
ago.
could go wrong?
Several years ago, they when drones were becoming a thing, I think it was Colorado. It was like, that's a little too big, brother. And they started, they said that they were going to issue drone licenses, or maybe that was a joke, but they were saying that it was okay to shoot them out of the sky.
I'm sure there's an area, once it gets below a certain elevation, it's your property, right? I mean, how high up do you own when you own a piece of
Yeah,
property?
but having people shoot up into the air,
Yeah.
Yeah,
where do those bullets come
Where
down?
they're going to come
You
down.
know.
Yeah.
Utah?
Yeah. But you know what? There's a thing called air rights.
Yeah.
Right? So,
What about a trebuchet or something like that?
There we go.
There you go.
You know,
Something.
See that.
Like a big flaming ball like you see on...
yeah.
you
Big
see those
slingshot.
little net
right?
things.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
There you go.
But air rights.
Capture it.
Yeah, I think we've deviated quite away
That's
from the
fine. We'll get back. So, like, air rights, how high up can y'all go?
Well, that's how like sky rises are done. They can buy the rights over someone's building, and so then they can't build a skyrise there. So the people who live in these cities where maybe they have this beautiful view and they're about to build a bunch of sky rises, they can prevent that by buying these air rights. It's I don't know a lot of details about it. I just know the topical, right? But so then it's like I got to keep my view, and no one can buy no one can build a skyrise through my view because I own the air above a building.
We actually had a guy come out to the old tap room, and he was telling us that they actually made money because what they did is they wrote a program that tracked all the different airplanes. Because apparently, when an airplane is flying from point A to point B, they actually have to pay taxes for flying over states and counties, and they actually have to the program actually tracked exactly how much each plane owed each county and stuff like this. And I was going, how do you track that? You know?
Well, and then you have okay, maybe they had beer on that plane. Do they then can they get
Excise tax?
Yeah, or could they get busted for bootlegging or something like that?
Flying over Utah, please.
It's like
gotta
Smokey and the
avoid-
Bandit 3000.
Yeah, I don't know how the plane taxes work. But
Yeah.
apparently it's a thing.
Yeah.
But
Things to
everything's
look-
a thing.
Yeah,
though.
things to look into.
Yeah. Now you're gonna go home and you got something to research.
I know,
and
right?
Read about, right?
I got to find somebody to do a podcast on that one. So, listen, I have on good authority know that this is the thing, so I need you to talk to me about it. That's how I'll approach it. And I'll be like, listen to this episode with Theresa and Brett.
I heard it from the
That's-
grapevine.
Yeah, and
Heard it from
The
a
barley
friend.
vine.
listen, well-educated individuals, let me know. Speaking of, your background is in genetics, right?
Yes.
I got my DNA test.
Did you? So did we. Yeah,
So did we.
Yeah.
Turns out I'm white.
Turns out he's not.
I'm not.
Really?
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, for me, I'm like I knew, my darkest color is blue. For me. I'm so pale. I was like, thank you, 23andMe,
right,
for pointing out the obvious.
For
and then
pointing out that you were about as pale as can be.
Yeah, so
right.
then you scroll down, it's like just ads for sunblock. It's like, I think I understand this whole thing now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, 23andMe.
Yeah,
All right, but
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we had his done, and we were actually quite surprised.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I was hoping for something interesting. Nothing very interesting.
Yeah.
What did you get?
Well, mostly English and Irish, which you kind of expect, but there was a significant fraction there of.
I think it was 8%, right?
8%, of sub-Saharan Africa. We had Nigeria.
He's the Nigerian prince
I'm the
that's sending
Nigerian
out all
prince.
the emails.
I'm busted,
Okay. You know
That's
what?
how he got all of our email.
He's just
He
following.
is the Nigerian
Hey, what's your? I'll send you the promotional stuff about the brewery. Really? You're that guy.
If you send me $2,000, I'll send you several million beers.
It's locked up in an account he just can't get to.
Can't get to it.
This beer is
Hey, it wasn't
delicious.
my fault. All right, it was my brother. He's trying to steal the throne.
Yeah.
So this is the rye.
The Fetcher and the
Fetcher
Rye.
and the Rye.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's our
delicious.
charity beer too. So we donate some of the proceeds for that beer to Alpha Search and Recovery. Now they are the local search and recovery team. They train dogs to find missing persons. So they're a 100% nonprofit organization, and so we support them any way that we can. We hold an event every year, their anniversary party, to do some fundraising.
Cool.
But all year round, that beer donates to that fine organization.
That is delicious. As much as I enjoyed the Kolsch, and Kolsch's are they're great because you don't, you drink them and you just enjoy them, and it's just like
No muss, no fuss.
it's
Yeah.
like hanging out and watching a show with your buddy or
Yeah.
something. But then you pick up this beer and you try and you're like, whoa, you're interesting. Tell me more about yourself is what you want to do. You're like, I need to know more about this.
Well, actually,
Doesn't it taste like fall?
I would love
Yeah.
fall in a glass. I'd love
I'd like
to take credit for that one. But actually, a home brewer brought us some. A friend of ours, a home brewer, brought us some and said, "Hey, tell me about this beer." And we're all like, "Can we have this one?" Like, can we please? And he gave us the recipe for it. And it literally, it's more complex than we thought. It was probably of all the beers that we've ever actually tried to adapt and stuff. We probably spent more time on that one there trying to get it closest to his recipe.
We probably did 10 rounds because it was a partial mash, a recipe that he provided us. So then the conversion isn't exact, right? And then you also have what is his water profile, what temperatures is he brewing at, and that was actually really ended up being the secret. We were brewing at our normal, what we would our normal range of
For the yeast that we
temperatures
use,
for the
yeah.
yeast that we use
Right.
and the yeast that he said to use, and and we can control it. Whereas as a home brewer, we forgot that goes in the bathroom. And now what's the temperature of his bathroom?
That was the key.
Right?
Yeah, we jacked up the temperature
a
It's
couple-
in his tub,
Yep.
right? And so we had to jack up
And factor in the
temperature.
showers, every day.
The showers every
Humidity,
day. But so we on this one we had to think, you know what, that piece that's missing is the yeast. The yeast kicking off some of those extra flavors from the higher temperature. So this one we actually brew a little bit higher than any of our other beers, and so
like
that
this
we
building.
can kind of force it.
It's like, what's the story of this yeast?
Yeah.
Like in a micro
Yeah.
level, like, this happened over a few weeks as compared to the building, which is centuries or a century or whatever. But it's like, it's the same sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
you got to, what story is this yeast telling?
Yeah.
The
What is it going to bring out,
Yeah.
right? If we stress it a little bit, and so that beer gets a little bit of stress, so that it'll bring out some flavor, and
Just like people.
and it pairs with that juniper so well.
Just like people, if you go through a little stress, a little adversity, it builds your character.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like opening a brewery. If it were
Yeah.
easy, everybody would do it, but maybe people wouldn't apprite how awesome.
Gives you a little polish too.
Yeah.
A little character.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So you don't want it to be easy. The best stuff needs to be, mind-numbingly hard.
Yes. You don't get good stories unless you've been through something.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Like, Texas City.
Like Texas City.
Right. So, did you get many of those replies to the email? Did that?
I can't. My lawyer tells me not to, share that with me. Because these people are assisting me under their, They need privacy and respect as they give me all their money. You know?
They give them all the money.
I mean, as I help them get their money.
As he helps them get their money.
What? So 8%.
Yeah.
So I got like some 0.8 stuff,
Yeah.
like 0.7 unknown shoulder shrug. I got some of
Yeah.
that.
Like,
And
we
then-
don't really know.
Yeah, and then like 47% Neanderthal or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It was
What was your Neanderthal number?
two. I don't know how they do it. They don't do it like as a percentage, right?
No, they could do as how many chromosomes or how many markers. I think
It
that's
was
what
pretty,
how many
it
genes.
seemed like pretty
how many
high.
genes,
They
yeah.
said as a percentage it was high. I'll just pull it up. Did y'all do 23andMe?
We did.
Okay.
We did.
We're not related. I think I would have seen y'all already.
No,
I would have sent y'all an invite. Let's see. So when you look at this, do you know what they're talking about? Since you did genetic stuff, I look at it and I'm like, oh, those are pretty colors, but
Yeah.
I don't really understand.
Yeah, offline I can explain the maternal-paternal thing for you. Help you out with that.
Okay. Well, here I'll let you. You know what? Here, just look at my app. You tell me who I am. I don't know. What does that mean?
Serial killer. I see nothing unusual.
Cereal
there.
with a C.
With a C.
With a C.
Little Fruit Loops.
Lucky Charms. I will kill a box of Lucky Charms on a Saturday.
All right. T, what do we just...
Parental inheritance.
yeah, we're on a page out of... My IT department.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. It's all blue.
Wait,
It's all
you're from
blue,
North.
which means all
you're
Europe.
96% from northwestern Europe.
That's what I
Gee,
said, yeah.
You're like surprise.
Yeah, there's no surprise in there whatsoever. It's like, as far as the, you have to
Oh,
look at
go-
that.
yeah.
Respectable
you gotta
amount of Irish in there. Good for you.
Yeah. I wonder if that's true. If they're just like, you know what? Listen, throw this guy some Irish, just a little bit of variety.
Yeah.
It's like he's just white bread. Give him like an interesting crust.
Trace ancestry.
Exactly.
Yeah. 0.6% trace ancestries from Asia, Congolese, Southeast Africa,
Yeah.
and Guinea. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So
right. Trace. We're talking like
0.6.
we're like rub some dirt on it.
Yeah.
Right? You got some trace dirt on it.
exactly, like the
just
underside of my pinky toe fingernail or nail is.
There's certain political people I'd like to have made a joke about, but we'll skip that one.
Yeah.
All right.
No, because you're all blue, supposedly the Neanderthal. So he's trying to figure out your.
Yeah.
that.
I've
So
done
he's a
this somewhere.
geneticist, not an IT.
No
guy.
IT on this
So
one at all.
apparently you would have higher of that Neanderthal genes.
It said
because
I had
they were
higher
in
than
that-
like 75, 80%.
Oh my goodness! Then what are you like 300 something?
Years old?
No,
No,
like
I'm
the
39,
number.
but thank you.
Number.
There you go. You've actually had a lot of your family members that have extended family, like way, fourth cousin, 25 times removed or whatever, have actually done this. That's pretty respectable.
Yeah, I hear they're on 23andMe. Maybe on hard times.
Oh really?
They had to lay off some people.
Did they?
I think.
Oh no.
I don't know. They got their first medical patent. Like they're tailoring medicines to
Yeah.
people's DNA and that sort of thing, which to me sounds very promising, but I don't know what any of that means.
29.
292.
292.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So that means that you have like 292 Neanderthal variants. That you have a higher number of genes that actually are non-human. They're Neanderthal,
That
right?
would
It's pre-human,
explain
right?
a lot.
Which basically makes us
And-
human. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't say it's not human because
Right.
it is. Because
It's in there.
It's in there.
Let's see, did you have any that like hit for? You have one variant. So that is associated with reduced tendency to sneeze after eating dark chocolate. So you don't sneeze.
I don't.
and that's
all
after
day
eating-
long. I can eat
That's
dark
a thing.
chocolate.
Okay,
That's a
so
thing?
Yeah.
yes,
Pe-
that's,
people
that's
actually-
totally a thing.
they have a
It's-
sneeze.
Yes, they sneeze after eating dark chocolate.
Yeah, they.
one of the ones that surprised me, like on Theresa, and it's amazing what genetics controls in your thing. She actually has one that says that she's more likely to be annoyed by people who smack their lips when they chew, which she is totally. But
Yeah.
your genetics controls that for you. I thought that was just like
Yes.
everybody hated that myself.
Well,
But
to me, I used to like as a dude. I never noticed it, and then my wife, she is super annoyed by it. She's like, "Can we turn on some music when like we're eating or
Yeah.
something?" It's like I want to talk to you, but I can't stand the sound of your mouth. So it's like
Enjoy your genetics, man. It's amazing.
I
so
want to talk to you, but I can't stand the sound of your mouth.
and so it's like now we have to listen to music or watch something if it's just you, her,
Yeah.
the two of us, right? And so now I notice it. So I don't know. Maybe it turned on my gene. But one of the things it did say was like, "Hey, good for you. You're one of the group that 75 to 80% of the people with your genetic makeup will not lose your hair." It's like, "Are you losing your hair?" And I'm like, well, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, that sucks for you." It's basically what it is. Like, thank you, 23andMe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't play the lottery here. The odds are not in your
The
favor.
odds
Or maybe they're very in my favor.
know,
I don't know. Maybe that's the flip side of it.
Probably not if you're losing your hair.
No.
We're going with no.
Yeah, it's a thing, man. It's
Yep.
Yeah.
So we actually had what kicked all this off for us was we had a puppy that we rescued. So we're doing what we call the Save a Life program, and it's a multi-phase type thing. We're passing out these cards to the local shelters and stuff that if you adopt a dog, bring it in.
Beer's on us.
Beer's on us.
Right.
You know, we'll give you there. You see the donation box over there. So we take donations and we try to make sure they go to the places that need them the most. One of the next weekend we have a shelter coming in to do some dog adoptions. It's called Rangers Reach. Some fantastic people. Right around December they took in like 4 pregnant mother puppies, so we knew they were going to have puppies, so we took all the puppy stuff and gave them all the puppy stuff because they knew it. So we're trying to do that.
We have a low-cost pet vaccination clinic that's going to happen next week.
Every 2 weeks after
well,
that.
every 2 weeks after that.
starting now.
So, really kind of help people out in the area, dog owners, get the dogs some, forever homes, get them vaccinated, and and then we're looking at getting a spay and neuter clinic, a low cost spay and neuter clinic out here. So you get the dog, you get
take care of animals.
take
We'll
care
take
of
care
it.
of you.
Let's try to clear the shelters, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So we figured we would step up and do our part as well, and we took in this little spot of a puppy.
Oh, she's adorable.
She was, when Theresa showed me the pictures, you could literally see the fleas all over her.
Oh,
she was a feral dog basically.
She was born stray.
And you might have seen pictures if you looked on our Facebook page, because I posted more of her than almost of our beer at this point,
Yeah.
And most perfect little puppy dog. It was like textbook dog for adoptions, So we did a DNA test on her, and it was surprising us because she's all of these. She's a super mutt when it comes down to it.
That's cool.
But they're all like literally like 31% German Shepherd, like 28% Pit Bull. All these big dogs. And I don't think she's going to break 30 pounds.
Yeah,
She's a tiny little thing.
She's real small, and she looks almost more golden retriever. But the only dog that kind of tempers the size that's in her, and it's only at like 10%, is an Australian cattle dog. But everything else is like Labrador, golden retriever, pit bull,
Chow,
German Shepherd. But because she's mainly the two, German Shepherd, pit bull, we're calling her our gerbil.
She's a gerbil,
yeah. So people ask, "Oh, what kind of dog is she?" She's a gerbil.
Yeah. We've got 2 rescue dogs and love them to death. Sweetest dog, great personalities. So yeah, if you're gonna do a dog, I mean, get a dog. Not anyway. If you're doing the whole dog thing, I guess is what
Adopt, don't shop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, I feel like a little bit of a traitor here, but we have to give a shout out when people do the right thing. Coors is actually running a thing where there's a online article that has all the more information than I can tell you here, but if you adopt an animal, they will pay up to like $100 of the adoption fee up through.
I think it's 1,000. No, they're going to pay the adoption fee up to 1,000 dogs. I think
Up to $1,000.
Yeah,
So basically,
dogs,
So
till the 22nd or 28th or something, it's going to be running.
Okay.
So
you can adopt up to 1,000 dogs.
Yes, of course we'll
don't get her started. She'll do it.
I will do
not
it.
tempt her.
Challenge accepted.
We've got land.
1,000 dogs. That's a lot.
Coors bought me 1,000 dogs. Thanks, Coors. Right.
Oh my gosh. That's what was the original Coors guy's first? He wasn't Adolphus. I'm thinking Bush. Who was the Coors?
I don't know.
Was it Randy? Randy
I don't
Coors?
know.
Bob.
I really don't know.
There's actually, if you'll go on Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
they have one of those old they have some of these old. Just type in beer on the videos, and they have like the story of Coors. And it's like this old, like, I don't know when they filmed it. It was 50s, I guess. Or
really?
Early 60s, maybe. And it's the story of Coors, of Randy Coors.
Huh.
When he came over from
Timmy?
Timmy?
Timmy? No.
Timmy
No.
Coors? I don't know. But it's actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
To how he bought the land. And I'm going to use this finest water here. And then it's just like this dramatic.
Oh, did they really get
Yeah.
really crazy dramatic with
Yeah.
it? The music and everything?
Yeah, I think
Oh, that's awesome.
think the 10 Commandments, but with a guy opening a brewery.
It was
Wow.
Adolf Coors.
Adolf.
Adolf.
Oh, that's
Okay. And it was not Randy. You
No.
were a little bit off.
That was what his friends called him.
That's what his friends called him.
We call him Al.
We call him that.
Yeah, Dolph. Anyway, I don't know, but that's cool. Yeah, I love our. Speaking of gerbils and dogs and everything, my daughter has decided that because she's worked hard doing her chores and everything and doing some babysitting, so she's earned some money, and so she wanted to buy her own pet. And so we were going through the whole thing, like what pet. So first it was like a chameleon, and you can't really do anything with those. You can't like handle them or anything.
I thought, aren't those the ones that are on like the...
Yeah, but if you like hold them, they get stressed out.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, you
Because
just kinda-
you always see them on people's fingers. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
they're not.
just hanging out.
Apparently, they're not supposed to do that.
Oh,
or you can
okay.
do it just for the post, and then you have to put them back. And
Oh,
you give them therapy
oh.
and
Okay.
whatever else, Ritalin or
So
something.
the Disney Tangled or whatever lied. You
Complete
can't. You can't.
fabrication. Turns out,
That's my favorite
hair
character.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Hair doesn't grow that long, and you
And-
can't interact with a chameleon.
No. My sister had hair literally down to her knees, braided.
Uh-huh.
It was so long that she actually got it caught in a weed whacker. I mean,
Yes.
no.
So
There I go. Staying
it does.
corrected.
It does grow long.
it's for very long. Yes.
But maybe not that long.
Yeah, well,
right.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
tower.
Could you
whole
could
thing.
you climb up it?
I think I probably did when I was a little kid. Probably. She's older than I am, so you know that.
But yeah, so we we got past that, and bearded dragon. Those are just they get big, and it's like, because we're talking about, we don't want the dogs to eat them, and I'm like, those things get big enough, we might have to worry about it eating the dogs.
the dogs.
So
Well,
you start out. You don't want I can see their man Bosco. He's spirited,
Yes.
right? And so I can see him being a bit, too.
Honey, have you seen the dog?
Yeah, exactly.
Honey?
Yeah, exactly. Why am I so alone? And why are you so big and looking at me like this now, bearded dragon or whatever?
Then you'll have a full dragon,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And we've seen how it's never a good thing.
No.
Other than Pete's dragon. That's the only time dragons turn out.
That's the only
okay.
really good dragon. Or
Right.
what about the dragon that's in
They
Shrek,
got a sequel.
right?
They got a sequel coming out. And you don't want to. Yeah. So Pete's Dragon.
Oh, we don't wanna
Did the long term effects? No.
Okay. Yeah, no. Pete's Dragon, the Revenge.
the revenge
Elliot's
of
Revenge.
Pete's dragon.
Talk about the original one with the animated dragon, like the cartoon style
Yeah.
dragon. Did not age well.
No.
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 The new one, pretty good.
Yeah.
With what's her face from another movie.
I haven't
Yes.
seen it, so,
Just
yeah.
Jurassic
That's
World.
very, very descriptive. Thank you.
It's Oscar season, so you want to make sure that you give the movies their.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that the movie
appropriate.
that had the two guys
Yeah.
in it. That
Oh,
the
yeah.
one had
Oh,
the
yeah.
longest short
I like that,
hair.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you remember that part where they did that thing?
Where has a nose?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. And then remember when they did that thing?
Oh, I do.
That was
oh,
my favorite part.
That was the best part.
I laughed and laughed.
Yeah, but then it also brought you to tears when
Yes.
that other part.
Yeah.
Men don't cry.
Yeah, well,
Well,
Try.
but you did.
but try not to.
Look at the time. I got to go. All right.
Anyway, where was I at? Oh, dragons.
Yes,
Right. So
dragons.
bearded
So
dragons.
bearded dragons.
So I think that's out now, and now we moved on to mammals, and so we're like, all right, what mammal? And we were looking at. I think we're on ferret right now.
Ooh, stinky.
Ferrets are smelly.
Oh, ooh,
yeah.
they
and,
smell.
and they
They're
chew up
musky.
your walls and
Yeah.
everything.
And they
That's
and
what
they
I've-
and they steal everything and hide them.
That's what. Okay, so that's where we are now. But I feel like I'm losing this battle. I'm trying to maybe to get it over to a hamster.
Yeah, maybe
More affordable.
Or a bunny, because bunnies can be housebroken. You can litter box train a bunny.
Oh,
So
I just feel like my dog would break it in the house. You know,
Well,
so-
it's going to break a gerbil or a.
well, gerbil at least you
Dude, so-
keep way up on the
Oh,
shelf,
that's,
and
well,
it's
you can keep a bunny in a cage and then hold it and put it in a cage.
Like until you've seen a hamster and those little hamster balls, the dog. Yeah, it's-
Batting
it's-
yeah. Every night, I think there's some mice that live on our back fence in the jasmine, and every night he runs out there to try to find them. He's like, that's his mission in life. He's gonna find them.
Then I'm thinking maybe anything that might be rodent based.
Yeah.
Probably not,
Maybe a bad idea
Just
because just
throw
because
it
it's on a
off.
shelf doesn't mean
Yeah.
the dog can't still
Yeah,
get to
it's
it.
it's all
right?
it's a work in progress. I'm
Yeah.
trying to stall all that process until
How about another dog?
see we've got 2.
Okay.
But I did point that out. I was like,
What
look,
a smaller dog.
Wait, what are those little the little keychain fobs that have the little animal the pet you can feed?
Oh, what
Get
are
her one of
those?
those. Yeah,
the-
What were those called? Tamagotchi?
something like that. Yeah.
Something.
There you go.
The
There you
little
go. Problem
things you can
solved.
feed it
Yeah.
on a keychain, electronic
we
pet.
should probably do that first anyway to see
Yeah.
how well she does with it.
Or they
We
have
all
those
know-
ones that are those little robot dogs, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
We all know what you're really going to do is you're going to wind up with a Labrador. We predict it.
We predict it.
Maybe. I love labs. They're great. But
By the way, we're having an adoption day here on Saturday from 2 to 5
Okay.
with
We're
puppies.
actually having a puppy kissing booth.
We will have a
Yeah.
puppy kissing booth.
The puppies will be
Saying.
kissing you. You don't kiss them back. That's
oh,
weird at that
Well,
point.
Well,
so
I
you
mean-
say.
Do as you wish.
Sometimes you can't help it.
You can't help it.
I mean, your lips just run into ducks. It
You
happens.
know, it happens.
I mean, seriously, I mean, it's, whatever. But I think 2 is probably our limit at the moment.
So what are you looking for? Are you looking for something that's going to be in a cage?
I was
and-
looking
and,
for
like,
one dog,
enclosure?
and we ended up with 2.
I got an idea.
And so now
That works.
How about a blue crested Amazon? We could help you out with that.
okay. So
Oh,
now you say
blue-fronted
do y'all have
Blue
one?
fronted Amazon.
Yeah.
Blue
Do y'all
fronted
have
Amazon.
an
We help you out with
Amazon?
that.
Yes.
We had a
yes.
redheaded Amazon. For
Oh.
Yes, we got a parting parrot if you want one. We can bring it to you, deliver it,
How-
cage and all.
They live forever, don't they?
They do. They do.
We-
She's 31 years old.
We had a redheaded Amazon that my wife had before when she was in middle school, and then
Yeah.
we got married, and we brought him down. He was at her parents' house for a while when she was in college and stuff, and then we got married. and We brought it to the house, and he was cool. Cool with her, not so much with he tolerated me a little.
Yes,
bit.
they're
One person.
kind of one person.
Yeah.
And he would tolerate. He would sit on my shoulder a little bit and kind of hang. A little bit. But then we got a dog. We got her mom's dog had puppies and a little Shih Tzu. So we had a puppy, and that was interesting. And we could still kind of make it work or whatever. But then once we had a kid and kids crawling around in the bottom of the cage and all, just birds. And
Yeah.
he just ended up getting pushed back to the back room. It's like, oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
So we rehomed him to somebody else who had another bird, and so now they're kind of hanging their
Oh,
friends.
good.
And so all that to say is I don't want your bird. I've been there, done that. I know that
We were
one.
that close.
Oh, you were so
That
close.
You almost had me with the email, but you won't have me.
we call it the parting parrot. So whenever we're having a party, the last person to leave gets a parting parrot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sad. So my parents got her when I was 10,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were raised together, and then after college,
Yeah.
I get out on my own, and Mom's like, "Here's your bird," and I'm like, "What?" So she gave my brother. We had an African gray, and then we had a blue-fronted Amazon, and we had some other birds growing up too, but these were the 2 that kind of stuck around the longest. And so Mom gave us, the birds that were really what she wanted, right? She wanted the birds.
Yeah.
No, granted, the birds liked, the African gray liked my brother the best. The blue-fronted Amazon liked me the best. So it was a natural choice. But now, for the rest of my life, I have a blue-fronted Amazon.
Yeah.
And, and when I moved to Texas, because I wasn't raised here, we have to have the ceiling fan on. So now she has less outside time than I would like,
Yeah.
and I mean, she's got a good life. She's got a huge cage, lots of toys. We talk to her and everything, but she gets fed great.
Yeah.
But
Gets,
I
gets
would
turkey
love,
at Thanksgiving.
yeah, literally.
Really?
Her name is Turkey, right?
Oh.
And I named her that to annoy my mom when I was a kid, right? Mom wanted to name her Shasta,
Yeah.
and so Mom would talk to the bird. She's like, Shasta, Shasta, and I'd come up and I'm just just this mean little kid, and I'm like, turkey, turkey, right? And so the bird started saying turkey,
Nice.
and so she learned her name is Turkey, and so from then on,
Turkey.
so every Thanksgiving when she gets turkey for Thanksgiving, it's this kind of cruel joke,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, a little.
There are I guess all the Amazons are kind of similar, right? About that yay big,
So big, yeah. Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
loud when they want to, spirited.
Yes, spirited.
We'll go with that word. That's the one.
Ours was named Pancho Villa. Yeah,
Yeah,
he could say his name, sort of.
yeah,
They talk a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, Turkey talks a lot.
Yeah.
We used to have a
It's
whole
getting her to shut up
binder
there. That's
of
the problem.
pages of things that she could say. Yeah.
It was just, none of it was in English. You couldn't understand.
Oh no! She said it.
It's like,
She said it.
where
That's
did you learn Latin?
That's how Brett learned my sister's name, the bird.
Oh.
Yeah, she would scream, Laura, get up, right? Because when we were kids, right, my mom would call from downstairs to upstairs to tell my sister to get up.
That's
and
hilarious.
The bird picked it up, and so Brett comes over and she's screaming my my sister's name and telling her to get up. Right?
That's hilarious. It's like, do you know how you sound when you do that, Mom?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
That's
Come here.
exactly
Here, Mom.
verbatim.
Listen to yourself. It's even in your voice. This
so
is
funny.
what you sound like to us.
That is so funny that an animal can do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that's
Yeah.
hilarious. We should talk a little bit more
Yes.
about beer.
Yes, we should.
There we go.
You're,
This is our Brutal Summer Brute IPA.
it's crispy.
It is very crispy. It's just straight 2-row and a small blend of hops. And we don't use like the champagne yeast on ours. We just use an English dry ale yeast. But it is literally, if you know anything about brewing and you're familiar with gravity, our gravity, we've got pictures to prove it. It's literally at like 0.998. Which is below water at that
Yeah.
point. It is drier than anything else. There's
Yeah.
like no residual sugars in this thing at all.
I think with the
Or 09.
No, it'd be it's
Like nine-
one is water.
Okay, yeah.
So
Okay, I always
998 is
I
yeah.
always get-
I think so the brewed IPAs, I think when they made their initial debut as a kind of a juxtaposed to NEPAs or whatever, the big juicy hazy, like, oh no, we don't, let's do something the complete opposite. And so I don't know, like the best ones I've had are fantastic because that crispy, it's just crispy. I just love
It's
a
very
crispy.
clean. It's
Yeah.
very clean style.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think when you start trying to say, oh, it's not really an IPA or it's not really, it's, compared to this or whatever, I think, you kind of miss the point, I think. It's just let it stand on its own and be what it is. And
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them.
I think brutes get a really bad rap. They came out at the wrong time. I think
Yeah.
if they would have come out not as the answer to the NE IPA,
Yeah.
people would probably give them more chance. We even see here where people will come in and they'll say, I don't like brewed IPAs. They're like, what do you have? But I don't like brutes, right?
Yeah.
Do you have an NE? Do you have an American IPA? Do you have, what do you have, right? And we'll just hand them our IPA and they're like, oh, that's really good. What is it? We're like, it's a brute. Right? And we're like, so I normally don't like brewed IPAs, right? And so,
Right.
I think that the word brute really kind of sours people and sets an opinion in their mind before they've tried it, right? Because there's a lot of brewed IPAs that are just really phenomenal, and there's a lot of IPAs that are not being called brute that are brutes, and the reason they're not being called brutes is because we know that the word brute is like taboo, right? And now we're not doing that, but there's a lot of beers that have a very low ending gravity. That would be considered a brute, but they're not being called that, and they're being enjoyed by people all across the city, but brute just gets a bad rap.
It's a victim of circumstance.
It is. It just came out at the
Timing.
wrong time when everyone is so in love with NE IPAs. Now, don't get me wrong, NE IPAs are fine and good, right? But this was the middle of when they were getting the most publicity, right? And I think that's kind of died down to where now they're just a style, right? It's no longer...
It's kind of settled in.
It's settled into where it's going to be, and as all new styles do. I mean, what was it, a few years ago? Barrel-aged. Everyone was going crazy about the barrel ages. And now they've settled in, and everyone likes them, but it's not, as energizing, right? And unfortunately, during the biggest part of the energy for NE IPAs, brutes came out as and they were publicized as the answer,
The
right?
response,
the opposite,
the West
response.
Coast response
right?
to the
So you got the
Northeast,
East,
and that wasn't the right way
East
of
Coast and
billing
West
it.
Coast, and and if you're going to pin it like that, then East Coast won, right?
Yeah.
Because West Coast the brute got basically a bad rap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it really didn't get the chance, right?
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of really good brutes out there on the market. And just having a nice dry, clean finish is, I think it's what a lot of people kind of fell in love with IPAs, right? A lot of the original IPAs that when we were going through the big regular IPA phase, a lot of them were pretty dry. The ones that really came forward were fairly dry. Maybe not as dry as the brute,
right?
But they were fairly dry,
yeah.
right? And so they didn't have the residual sugars and stuff, and you could really just taste the hops, right? And a little bit of the base, and so I think it's almost a look back to where we were, and then taking it a little further. Say, where were we? Let's go,
all the way.
all the way.
Yeah.
Let's go all the way.
So
Let's take all the sugar out.
Now, one of my thought for this year, I said that the trend would be a resurgence of like classic Belgian styles. But one of the things we've seen so far, like that we've actually seen, not just what I want to see, but what we've, because I made the prediction, but what we've actually seen is kind of this, you have like that sober or dry January kind of thing people do, and low-cal people. Some people are kind of pushing low-calorie beers and stuff like that. Now, I've had some of the low-cal like IPAs and even a non-alcoholic IPA that was, it's pretty good considering what it is. I would put this at flavor-wise and kind of body-wise and things like that. Not exactly like those things, but kind of in that same neighborhood, crispy, dry, but like as far as like calorically speaking,
it's going to be low because there's no residual sugar, right? Well, very. It's like none, right? It's negligible. It's negligible because we took all the gravity out, right? And so it's going to be low carb. Is that?
Yeah, it'd be low
right?
carb.
Low carb?
Low
carb.
Just alcohol.
Yeah.
There's
Flavor
nothing
and
interfere with the hop profiles. Basically, what you're getting, all that flavor is just strictly hop profile.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you get a really well balanced, good combination of hops when you use it.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. That's it's super. It's like it's very refreshing.
Yes.
Like it would cut through on a. It's like Gozas on a hot day are great.
Yeah.
The sour, kind of all that kind of cuts through the humidity, but that would do the same thing, but without that tartness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it does because personally, I like a drier beer on a hot day. A beer that's got a little more residual sugar kind of almost weighs you down and weighs your taste buds down when you leave, and you still kind of have a little bit of the taste of the beer in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's kind of that sugar coating your tongue, and you feel a little heavier, right? And you don't want to feel a little heavier when you're, when it's hot, when it's 100 degrees out, right? You want something that's crisp and clean and light. And,
Right.
Yeah.
So the exact opposite of that is that next beer.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right, this next beer here. This is the 12 past midnight. Okay. So what we did is we took our Midnight Watch Porter, which is about a 6% alcohol beer, and we upped it to an Imperial. So it started out as a 9% beer, and then we aged it for 18 months in Garrison Brother whiskey beer, or whiskey barrels. I'm sorry, whiskey barrels for 18 months. And so we have the 12 past midnight here, and it comes out at about 10.9% alcohol.
I love the smell of this.
And
beer.
that extra half a year of aging in those barrels just smooth this thing out.
And good play on putting it at the end there and temperature and
Yeah,
let
let
the
it
temperature warm up.
a little
warm
bit.
it up. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a little bit all right there.
Yeah.
It really is the opposite of that one, but it comes in like a cushy blanket, like it wraps around you and says, "Let's watch some Netflix."
I love the way he
Let's
describes things.
Netflix and chill, right? With that beer.
Yeah, this beer has done very well for the last month and a half now. Two months now, I guess, almost.
It really does. It's like you've got things you should get done today, but no.
Nope.
No.
No, let's forget that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are on the last keg of that. We do have another 8 boxes of bombers on it. But
that's a temptation beer. That's almost unfair.
Yes, I know.
That's almost that really is like a kiss the rest of your day goodbye.
Pretty much.
You're with me.
You know.
I don't know why it sounds like that.
No.
I just assume.
It does.
Temptation.
No.
Just temptation, which is not a bad thing.
No.
You've worked hard this week. It's only Monday, but you've worked hard so far.
So far.
Yeah.
You know.
You deserve this. You deserve a little break. It's like 11 o'clock on a Monday.
Yeah.
Give yourself a break.
Just give yourself a break.
Yeah.
So something to look forward to. The last year, mid last year, we got together with a gentleman that runs Nobi Public House down here.
Yeah.
Channing
Heron's his name.
Yes.
Yeah, and the three of us put our heads together and came up with a beer over there called Fluffy.
Mm.
And people are like, Fluffy? We're like, well, at first they were going to call it Cerberus because 3 heads. You know, they're
Right.
Yes.
Channing's a big Harry Potter fan, and so we named it Fluffy.
Well, so are we. So
Yeah.
let's be honest.
Yep.
We
Yep.
did a Harry Potter Halloween. We're
Yep.
just going with that.
But we took a portion of that right there and put it in Madeira barrels from Hack Winery down the road.
Oh,
So
nice.
next weekend here, we're actually be coming out another big barrel-aged beer that's been aged in Madeira barrels instead. So we're looking forward to see how that comes out.
When you're in this area, Nobi's a must.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have to go to Nobi.
Yeah.
Nobi's the
And their spring rolls.
oh god.
And their beer selection is amazing.
Yeah.
But their food.
All of it.
Is, yes, all
Yeah.
of it.
It's-
Yes. And, you know, I can't say enough good things about Nobi. And have you been to both locations?
No, just the
Just
OG.
the pub?
Yeah.
You got to go to the grill too.
Oh.
It's a very different vibe, right? It's so kind of chill, almost loungy, right? They do have some couches and stuff, and they have a much smaller beer selection. It's right next to the sandwich shop on 528. So there was always the Nobi sandwich shop
Yeah.
there at where the Shell station is, and now they've got the they call it the Regal Beagle, right? And but it's the Nobi Grill versus the Nobi Pub, and it's just a really relaxed, chill environment. They try to keep different beers, a few of the same, but some different beers at the grill as they have at the pub. So, you know, you can kind of say, hey, you know what, I want, something a little different than what's on this menu. You can go over to the grill. You get the same kind of food.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Amazing food because their sandwich shop is right there. And
What's the sand? The banh mi?
banh mi.
Banh mi.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sandwich. Yeah, the pork and
With the fried egg on
with
it.
the fried egg. Do you do fried
Oh,
egg?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You have to have the fried egg.
That's that's what will make you take a bite and your eyes roll back in your head and you just kind of let it soak into your soul.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, there's
It's like food.
Yeah.
Going, yeah.
yeah. Food for your soul.
Food for your soul.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like that. It's like like this beer is that's on that level.
Yes. Yeah.
What?
What were you saying? Sorry, we are now taking over InterBrews.
Sorry, I went to that. How long was I out this time? Was it?
It was brief. It was very brief.
Very
Yeah.
good. That is really good. So, we'll swerve it. We're just all over the road.
Yes.
But it's fine. But yeah, when you're coming down, because when you hear this episode, this is going to make you want to come south. If you're up north, if you're way down south, it'll make you want to come north, and that's fine too. Or if you're east or west, directions, whatever. We're not a directionalists.
Just come to Texas City.
Just come to Texas City.
Come in this direction, and you can't go wrong.
So you said they had the Mardi Gras parade already?
Yeah, well, they had the Mardi Gras parade this last weekend
For Texas City.
for Texas,
For Texas City.
Texas
But
City.
there's Galveston has a Mardi Gras.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
coming down the
Yeah.
pipe here.
Who else? There's some other Mardi Gras. I mean,
Yeah.
this is Mardi Gras season.
Yeah, it's
And
Mardi Gras season.
I love Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
I love it. Like,
And Galveston does it really big.
yes.
So.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's plenty of reasons to come down, but this area, I love coming down here. It's a completely different vibe than like up northwest.
Yeah.
It's just a different deal, and it's awesome. I love them both, but I love when I come in here. It's like, yeah, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's
And
like-
we're only a couple minutes, 2 minutes off the freeway. It's the last exit before you go on over to Galveston, right?
Yeah.
So if you're coming
5-minute
from
drive,
Galveston, we're literally like a 5-minute drive from Galveston,
Yeah.
and we're 2 minutes off the freeway if you're going to Galveston.
Yeah,
So.
look, I just watched the Apollo 11. They have a documentary on Hulu. It's
Oh,
fantastic. They
is
have
it?
all this remastered film from like the whole thing. Like they start with, I think they start with like the day before, 2 days before, and they show the crawler going out to the launch pad, and then it's like all this amazing remastered footage, a bunch of from inside of Kennedy Space Center and from here in Houston, and dudes in there like smoking pipes and like, but it's just so super sharp. And then they show they have the cameras on the different spacecrafts and stuff, and so you see these angles that I don't know that anybody really got to see, but now they've remastered in like
now you get to see
HD.
The footage that hasn't been seen before.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it's amazing to see, like when you think like they show the speed at which they're moving and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, holy shit, we did this, back in the 60s, 69. I don't know. It's a mind blowing like thing to watch.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing, like over 8 days. They shot him up there in this huge rocket, and they sent him to the moon, and they went down for a little bit and danced around and jumped back on and came back. Yeah. And there's, and that was all right over here. They were as a big chunk of that.
Yeah.
So you need to come to NASA, and when you're like seeing that stuff.
Well, you can see the Saturn V rocket. It's one of the.
It's the must see part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you can even go see the Saturn V without doing the whole tour. You can just go to
it's free
the
to the
rocket.
public.
It's free to the public.
Yeah.
And go to Rocket Park. You go in on it's Saturn Boulevard,
main entrance,
and you go into the entrance, and you just tell them, "I'm going to Saturn." Or Rocket Park, right? Because there's guards there, and they're just like, okay, just go in there, right? And so you go in, and you can go and see the Saturn V without having to do the whole thing. I mean, the whole Space Center thing is great, is excellent. But if you've got a short period of time or something, and you just want to see, the really big thing, that one you can just go in. You can go in anytime.
If you've never been to Rocket Park and stood next to that Saturn V,
have to.
It is just awe-inspiring.
It is. It's one of two. I could be wrong. So, NASA folks, please forgive me if I am I'm incorrect.
Yeah.
I think it's one of two complete Saturn V. I think all the other ones have mock-up parts, like a section or something that has that's actually a mock-up. But I think the one here, and I think it's Smithsonian. I could be wrong.
Stennis, I thought. Alabama?
No. That one's got mock-up parts. I've seen that one. And you can.
I was just at the Smithsonian at the Air and Space.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in DC.
Oh, how was it? Is it amazing?
It's very cool. That it was under they're redoing some stuff, so a lot of it was under construction. But you could still see the rockets, and they have the whole like the replica of the Hubble and all that kind of stuff. It's it's cool. And like the coolest part was the Wright brothers exhibit.
Oh, really?
To see all that they did, like, these guys were crazy. How much beer did these guys?
Were they? Do they actually have the Wright brothers planes there, or are they mock-ups of them?
I'm not sure. They have they have some original piece because it was all made they crashed a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, they crashed a lot. But did they have any of the crashed ones?
The original one that they took off in and got that first flight, then they landed in like next to a ditch or something, and like it all got part of it got washed away or something. They've got some original like propellers and stuff like that.
Okay.
But they have a full size replica, and using like a replica even everyone was sitting on that thing. Whichever one it was. Larry. Yeah. What was his name? Orville. Jerry. I don't know.
We're just throwing out names at this point. We can't remember anybody's name.
But it was that one was cool to think these dudes were these dudes were crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they were brilliant, but they were crazy.
Yeah.
Let's jump off this building with some wings strapped to our ass. It's like, woo! And it's like, all right, whoa, okay, I guess we're flying now as people.
Yes. Now we figured out how to be birds.
Yes, and then you step out, and then there's the rockets and stuff.
Oh, wow.
It's
That's amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
That is really cool.
So if you're ever in D.C., go check that out.
So,
and there's a beer exhibit at the American History, Smithsonian.
American really?
History. Yeah. It's real small, but it's got some of Charlie P's early, like his original, like mash tun and some stuff like that.
Wow.
And some of Ken Grossman's stuff. And so.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's cool that brewing made it into the American history.
Well,
come on.
I mean, it deserves it.
Have you seen the? There's a show. We had seen it on Netflix, and I think they pulled it from Netflix because some of the Discovery Channel stuff it was there for a while, and then I don't know, they lost their licensing, and I don't know if it's come back. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure it was a Discovery Channel show. It was called "How Beer Saved the World." So if you haven't seen it, you need to go check it out. It is amazing. They go through and talk about how beer, saved civilization because when water, you couldn't drink water because it was just infested with bacteria, that the boiling process saved us.
Yes.
Right, the going they actually through it they took some pond water and they made beer out of it and proved that that's the it made drinking safe, and they can make a low ABV, a mild, right, so to speak, a day beer, and you could still get your work done, but it goes through that boiling process, and so it made it safe. So how beer saved the world. Yes, and it's amazing. Oh, you did? Oh, good.
It's one of my.
It is amazing.
It's actually one of the things that inspired me to do this podcast.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we love that show. If I could put that on like loop on our TV, I would.
It was. I remember that. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember it was my old house when my daughters were little, like not even in school yet, and I was thinking about doing a podcast. I'd worked in radio before, and it's like, what do I want to do? It's like, I need to do something, and I didn't know what I wanted to do the podcast on. And then I was just sitting there one night after work drinking a beer, and I was watching that, and it's like it hit me. We had a spotlight over our table, but it was like the light from heaven came down. It's like God said, Josh, go talk about beer. And InterBrews was born, and I was like, "That's what we're doing."
Go.
And so it was that. So I'm right with y'all.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best. Like, there's a lot of documentaries and stuff out there. When they talk about actual brewers at a certain, they get a little dated pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because everything happens so fast.
Yeah.
But that one, when you talk about the history, it's yes.
That the Egyptians were paid in beer.
Yeah.
And and mathematics, accounting was the first beer tab was the first accounting, and that was the Egyptians, of like the first mathematical tablets that they found was supposedly a beer tab, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, wow, beer really did.
Seriously, officer, here's my beer tab. Don't hit me with it wrong.
Right. But I mean, it's really they were also paid in bread, but beer was also part of that because it was also sustenance.
Yeah. And they didn't have refrigeration or Tupperware, like almost no Tupperware back in the day.
No, almost none.
It's very hard to find that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
it would,
very rare.
Yeah, so that bread would go bad pretty quick, but if you turned it into beer,
there you go.
You can keep it around.
Mm-hmm. You go from eating it to drinking it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody.
They call those now pastry stouts.
Pastry stouts.
Yes.
They were making pastry stouts. That's the first pastry
Egyptian
stouts.
Nile River pastry stouts.
Yes.
Jump on that. Who's going to be the first one? What will it taste like? I don't know. It's worth. Yeah, I think it's all worth doing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Hey, question. So we've been going about an hour. So it's typical episode.
Yeah.
Do you have a few more minutes to maybe do?
Of course.
Well, maybe a little exclusive kind of stuff.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, we'll do that. So I'll tell you what we'll do. One and all. This is, you remember at the very beginning of this episode, all the way back at the beginning of your commute, or the beginning of your commute before you got to work, and now you're driving home. When I talked about that Patreon thing, well, if you want to hear exclusive content, this is the hook. This is you can go and become a Patreon subscriber, and you too can hear all the juicy exclusive stuff. We're up. This will be, if we do one today, which we're going to do, right? Telling the future, 16 exclusive Patreon episodes, which they're not dated. Yeah, they're right there. So we're going to do that. We're going to wrap here, and as Brett goes to get a refill, and so much more. Take a phone call, do some brewery work. But we'll be right back. If you're a Patreon subscriber, Theresa, thank you.
Absolutely.
Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
He says thank you.
You're the best. All right. Well, for Theresa and Brett, come to Fetching Lab. Come to Fetching Lab and come hang out and be part of a beautiful thing in this beautiful historic place. Delicious beers, the history of beer, all of it comes together.
Been going for 5 years, and we'd like to keep on going.
Please do.
Yes.
I mean, you're making these beers. All of them have been. Well, obviously, the glasses are empty now. They're delicious beers.
Thank you.
And something here for anybody. A wide variety and fun atmosphere and a cool place and good people and all that. So
Yeah, we've got a lot. Like I said, next week is our on the 15th is our 5-year anniversary, and we have, if I can get them all ready, crossing my fingers here, we'll have 5 new beers putting out on that day as well. So we have lots of new stuff coming out.
We have 16 taps, and we keep a Duo Wine and Cider. They're a local wine and cidery here in Dickinson. And so we keep a red wine, a white wine, and one of their ciders on. But then we have 16 different beers, so we're aiming for everybody, right?
You just made somebody's day because like I don't know how I'm going to get so and so to come with me. All they drink is cider. All they drink is boom,
done.
There
boom. You know,
problem
all
solved.
your non-beer drinking friends.
Yeah,
we've got something for you.
Yeah, I mean we've all got them, right?
Yeah,
we love them.
There's always that one.
No one's perfect.
You know,
right.
we love it.
All right. Well, for Brett and Theresa, Fetching Lab, ladies and gentlemen, please come and see them and tell them InterBrews sent you. I'm Josh. This is InterBrews.
This is InterBrews.
The preceding has been a presentation of Stewed Productions.